There it is. That's my little crochet project from last week that we started, of course. So Eve, since you're just joining us, we do have a video on the on-demand page for the Crafting Club. We do have a video on how to crochet these little cute granny squares. Okay, so those we're going to be constructing. So you can see we've this cute little adorable little pin cushion. And we're going to be finishing those up today. And I'm going to show everyone how to crochet this adorable little flower. You can see it's like adorable, right? It's very simple to crochet, and we're going to be showing that. But I'm going to do it out of larger thread, of course. So make this pin cushion, and so we can all, we're going to finish this project today for sure. And if I can get going here. So what we have is we've got some regular this is just your standard worsted weight yarn. And I like the little flowers to be made out of the crochet cotton because it's just it's the right size for these little squares. But I'm going to show you how to do it on the larger yarn so that you can see how it's made. We also have our little pin cushion that we made, hopefully, that everyone made with their stuff, the stuffing and a little quick little, you could hand stitch it or you could have, I have two of these, but that's what is filling this little hook, this little guy. So we've got needles, and so we're going to finish it up and so I'll show you how. So I'm going to put my little squares away and I'm going to show you how to do the hook or the flower. What am I saying? Now, normally I would do it with a 3.5 millimeter hook for this weight, but because you need to see the stitches, I'm going to do it with a larger hook today. This is a 4 millimeter. It's a little slightly bigger. It's a G hook. But if you want a nice tight little flower, I would use maybe an E hook. But just so you and then if you're going to use the crochet cotton, use a C hook or 2.5 millimeter. So that's kind of where we're at there. So what you do is you start by making a slip stitch. And if you don't know a slip stitch, I'm going to show you one. So I'm going to let that go. See how I slipped? It just slipped. It came apart. And that's good. So with a slip stitch, you basically want to create a loop. It's kind of a funny loop. It looks like a little pretzel with it goes kind of in a pretzel with the tail end behind. See how it's behind. And I'm just going to bring this hook in. And no, I did it wrong. Yeah. See, I knew I'd do that wrong. See, this is why I'm not a crochet person, but I love the crocheting process. It's so much fun. To do this, I need to bring this loop through. I'm just going to take that and put that through this way. There's other ways to do it, I'm sure, way better than what I'm doing. But this is one way that you can do it. So I'm slipping it. Now it's a slip knot. And however way, some people do by doing it with their finger. This is how I was able to get that slip stitch. So I'm going to crochet a chain of 4. To start the flower, you want to chain 4 stitches. 1. I'm actually going to bring my camera down a little bit just so it's a little closer and I don't have to put there we are, a little closer to you. So here we are. We're going to chain 4. And we don't count that slip stitch as a chain. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I have 4 chains. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, not counting that slip stitch. And what we're going to do is do a single crochet in that first stitch. And we're going to create a ring. So I'm going to go into the first stitch, not the slip, but the first stitch. And I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through. If I can get it to do that. All right, I'm going to move that tail out of the way. And I've yarned over and pulled it through, and I'm good. That's a single crochet. All right, so now what I have, you can see, hopefully you can see this okay. If I open it up a little, I've got a ring that is created. Basically, I've You can see I'm putting my finger through it a little bit so you can see. I've got a ring that really is just 4. There it is, so you see it. So now what we can do is we're going to single crochet just one time, which is yarn over and pull it through. That's 1 single crochet. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to now in that same hole, that ring, that's why we have that nice large hole. Somebody's coming in. Joanne's coming in. Okay. Here we go. Joanne's coming in. So hello, Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Okay, so I've kind of started, Joanne, I'm starting a flower for our little flower, and I'm using a larger piece here, but I would, if you have a crochet cotton, that would really work great to do this with, and a C hook, that's great to do this with the crochet cotton. How are you today, Joanne?
Good, sorry I'm late. Time got away from me.
I understand. I understand. So we're going to start this. I'm showing the flower with a larger yarn, but the finished flower looks way better with the crochet cotton, if you have it. But if you don't, you can use the regular yarn too, standard weight. And I'm using for mine, I'm showing it with a larger hook than I would normally do, just because it's easier to see, but I'm using a G hook. But I normally would use an E for this to get a tighter flower. So what I did was I basically did a slip knot, and then I chained 4 and joined it with a slip stitch to create this ring. And basically I've got a little ring, and I'm going to single crochet. I already single crocheted to make the first part of one of the petals. And so now I'm going to do a treble crochet, which if you've never done one before, and I don't know if everyone's done one before, so I'm going to assume you haven't. So I'm going to do it. It's called a triple crochet or treble crochet in US. And what you do is you yarn over twice. You make 2 loops to start. And then you go into that ring, that same ring. So I've got 2 loops, and I'm going to go bringing my hook down into that ring to the center. And I'm going to yarn over and pull it through. And so now I have 4 stitches on my hook. So I'm going to yarn over again, pull through 2 of those stitches only, just 2. And now I have these 3 stitches. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 stitches again, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 stitches. That is a treble crochet, and I've just created part of my petal. I'm going to go 3 more times. So what we want basically is we want 4 treble crochets in to make a petal. So I'm going to just do it again. 1, I'm going to wrap it twice, and I'm going to go into my center ring, yarn over, pull through 1 stitch, and now I have the 4 stitches. Yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over. Whoops, I got a little loose thread here. I got to back up a little bit there. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through another 2, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2. That completes another triple crochet or treble crochet. So I'm going to go again, wrap it twice, go inside, or yarn over twice, I'd call it. Go inside that center hole and bring your hook through once, yarn over again, pull through 2 of those stitches. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through the final 2. So now what we've got, if I count, I've got, looks like I have the 4. So I've got my first petal done, and I'm going to just single crochet into that same ring. We keep going into that same ring throughout the whole thing. So we're going to go inside the ring with a single crochet, and that means you just put it through, yarn over, and pull it through. Just a single crochet. So I have a cute little first petal done. Now I'm going to go ahead and repeat those double or triple crochets into that same hole again. I'm going to go in. So I've yarned over twice, and I'm going to go back in that same ring, pull through once, yarn over, pull through 2 of those stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 more, and yarn over once again, and you pull through, and you've got your triple crochet. Treble. Sorry, I keep saying triple. I guess they use triple and treble, side by side. So, all right, now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my yarn over twice, go back into that ring, and I'm going to pull the yarn through once, and pull through 2, yarn over, and then pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Yeah, that's a way to do it. So I'm going to do another. Go back into the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through those 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 again, and finally the last 2. So now I'll do one more set into that same base hole. Going to double, and this is sometimes where we tend to forget we're doing a triple crochet. Sometimes if I do a double crochet, I'll forget to wrap it twice and it will be too short. So we just want to make a nice long stitch. So we're wrapping it twice and putting it through the center hole, pulling it through, and then we start pulling it through 2 stitches, again through 2, and again. There's another petal. Now I may have shortchanged myself on the first petal. I have a feeling I have. But I should have had 4. It looked like I only have 3. But this is the right, you want 4 treble crochets. And then I'm going to single crochet to shorten that, to round out that petal. I'm going to go back in with just going back in without yarning over, yarn over after I've inserted it, pull it through, and then a single crochet just to shorten that. Now what we need to do is because this ring gets we kind of have to push all these stitches over so we can still continue to crochet into that center. So I'm going to go ahead and do it again. I'm going to wrap it twice, 1, 2, go into the center, yarn over, pull it through. And now I have my 4 stitches, my 4 loops on that hook. And I'm going to just yarn over and bring my hook through only 2 of them. Yarn over again, bring your hook through just 2. And make sure you get all the little threads, like this is unraveling a little. And then the final yarn over, pull through the final 2. And keep your tension similar. My tension was a little loose in the beginning and it's getting tighter now, but try to keep it as similar as you can. So we're going to go again inside that loop, yarn double or triple crochet, yarn over, pull it through, and we have our second triple crochet inside that. I'm going to do it again, wrap around your needle twice or your hook twice, crochet into the center or push it in the center, yarn over, pull it through, and do 2 at a time. Is everybody okay on the double crochets?
You mean treble?
Treble. Thank you. Yeah, yes, the trebles. So we're going to
How
do.
many are we up to?
Okay, right now you're on your.
How many petals?
You're going to go on your 4th. Oh, we're going to do 5 petals, so we're on our 3rd petal now.
Okay.
We're finishing up our 3rd petal. So I'm going to just do one more triple crochet to go inside that center. We're just working from that center. And then that was my 4th one. So a single crochet. So the pattern on this is basically, we're doing 4 treble crochets to make the petal and then 1 single crochet, which actually finishes it off. So All right, so I'm going to do a single crochet in the center. Just a single one to kind of to round out that petal. And this now my yarn has unraveled, so I got to back up a little bit. It just didn't want that. It just didn't, if it unravels a little bit, then it catches and it doesn't, needs to be run freely through. So I've single crocheted, I think, there we go. No, that's not a single, that was a chain. So I'm going to back up. There, I've got my single crochet. Now I'm going to do another set. We've got 3 petals complete so far. So we're going to just do 2 more in this. So double crochet or triple crochet goes into the center ring. And we go again, triple crochet into the center. My yarn is just being bratty. Again, triple crochet into the center. So we've got 3 parts here, 1 more. You do 4 times. Okay, so we've got another petal. Now single crochet to finish that petal. It's starting to get a little tight here, but you just keep pushing it to the right of the ring. And we have 4 petals complete. And I see my first petal is short because I shortchanged it 1. So, but these 3 look just fine. And all flowers aren't perfect, so I won't worry about it. So I'm going to wrap it twice, and we're going to do one more, a set of 4 triple crochets into that ring. So 1, mine went into a double. There we are. Back it up. And 2. 3. This is the 3rd triple crochet. And the last final one. Now we're just going to slip stitch for the final. We're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that you started, very first one. So it's kind of hard to find it, but you can find it. Just kind of move the threads around, move the yarn around and get inside and just slip stitch into that very first single crochet that you made right in that center. And this one is a little, I'm trying to get it. You can get it. But it needs to go into that first single crochet that you made. And just a slip stitch. So we're just inserting the needle. And in this one, I'm going to change my needle because that's just too fat. Changing my hook. Maybe it'll work better. Normally, this is the hook I would use to make this flower, this 3.5 or the E. So I'm just going to insert it inside now. And it looks like I can get it in. Yep. And I'm just going to do a slip stitch. And it's done. And what I'll do is pull the yarn and maybe give myself a little bit of a tail. And what I'll do is take my hook. So I've got my little lopsided flower because my first one was not quite, it's there, it's not bad, but it's slightly lopsided because I had a slightly shorter beginning, but that's all right. Okay, so I'm going to just take my hook and I'm going to bring that yarn, just going to kind of feed it through. You could use a needle if you have one, a crochet needle, but this is fine. You can just bring it through until you kind of, that tail finds the center. You want it to kind of meet with the other end so that you can tie it off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bring it through one more section of stitches here. Maybe one more, because my tail is right over here. So I just need it, just gently bring it through, feed it through. However, do it. I guess it would be easier with a crochet needle, but there we are. So now I can tie my flower together. And this is actually, if you want to do it, if you tie your flower now, you can do that, or you can tie it onto your granny square. So Since I'm going to show you my granny square, I'm going to do this cute little pink one that's made out of crochet cotton. What you need to do is just tie it to the top of your granny square, or bring it to it, and just take your crochet hook or crochet needle and bring those threads through, feed them through so that you can tie them off. And I'm going to pull this up a little bit so you can see it a little better. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to, I brought the tail end here, I've got that tail. I'm going to bring all these little pieces. I'm going to feed this tail through so that I can tie these off. And then we can just snip all the loose ends. I'm going to bring this one right through using my crochet hook. Got to give it some place to anchor. So there we go. Just pull it through like this. All right. So now I've got the both ends through, and you can tie them off. Just kind of center it on your granny square. On the front part of your granny square, of course, right? We want to make sure we want the front part because it looks better. Just tie it off and secure it a little bit. And just take a look at it and see if it's centered the way you like it. And this one seems to be okay. But if you want to shift it a little bit, you just need to rotate, just if you like in this one, I kind of want to shift it a little bit. So I'm turning it over now, and I will just secure it even more by, you can actually just take your crochet hook and just pull your threads through just to give it a little more, it anchors a little bit better. So pull your yarn through and tie it off and give it another tie, and just to make sure it's on there nice. If you want to put a center, like put something inside the middle, I'm not going to do that with this one, but you could run a bead through that and just insert it in the center, and that would look really cute. But I think this one, I'm just going to leave the center like that because I like that dark, kind of a dark center. Now snip off, go ahead and tie it off and snip off not too much thread, but just enough to hide it so it's not in your way. Like I'm just going to snip off, like leaving about an inch, just to give it room to flex if it needs to. But there's my little flower on the granny square. So now you're going to take both of your granny squares, and same with this, just take the center of this one and tie it off, just cut it off about an inch. And we're going to put these together. I've got these tails. I'm going to hide those a little bit by pulling them through like this. Yeah, that's not working. There we go. I'm gonna pull this through with all the thread and just kind of hide it a little bit. Just get the ends, but don't cut them so short that you can't, you don't want them to. This thread's terrible. This yarn is the worst, but that's cheap yarn I bought on Amazon, so that's what happens. So I'm going to just tie it off. I'll just feed it through a little bit and get it to do it. There we are. And just kind of move it out of the way, and like on the wrong side of our granny square, just kind of move it out of the way. It won't hurt to have it just a little bit here. I've got it slightly moved out of the way, and I'm just going to trim, leaving about an inch of thread or yarn. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. You could actually, if you wanted to join them, when we do join them, you can leave one tail. And maybe what we're going to do is we're going to join these with a slip stitch all the way around with the same color yarn. So you could take the same yarn, the same color that you made your granny squares with. You can join them. You can join by making a knot, a square knot. It won't hurt to do that. Or let's do that. Let's just take these two ends and join them in a square knot. We want a really secure knot as close as we can to the base. And a square knot should hold really well. And you'll know if it does by when you pull on it, it's not going anywhere. But if you feel like that might be just a little, you might it might not be strong enough of a knot, go ahead. It doesn't hurt to do another knot. And I'm going to just pull this out a little, get as close as I can. And I'm going to just do another little knot with the tail. And I'm not sure which end here now was the end that I had from the square or which is going, but I've got a nice little knot started, and I'm going to keep everything hidden underneath. And I could trim this off later or do it now, but I think I'm going to trim it later. I might trim a little off so it's not in my way though. All right, so now I've got some yarn to do my slip stitching in. And you've got your little pillow, but you don't need it yet. So just put your two squares together and kind of count the stitches. You're going to be slip stitching through every stitch, matching the corners. So like if you have, let's say, if you have a stitch marker, you don't have to, but it's just, if you do, you could, these little stitch markers are handy. You can just find a stitch that matches. Let's see, let's go into the first one on this one. This is the first one, and that is the first one. So I'm just marking it, just kind of a way to sort of visualize. And I'm going to count my stitches backwards. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's, and then I'm going to count these. This would be my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, this is good. Now I'm going to just start slip stitching. And if you can just basically insert your yarn, your needle, depending, let's see if that's the one, 3.5. Yep. So I'm going to insert it into my both top and bottom stitches, or both layers. You don't want to just do the top only. You want both of these little parts right there. You're going to slip it in and just pull it through. And then you're going to go to the next set. Right now, I'm going to bring it right here, slip it, and pull it through. And do it kind of sort of semi-loosely, not too tight. Just, keep the tension so that it's similar to what's underneath. And I'm just going to slip to the next pair and bring it through. It's good that you're doing it with the flower side up because you're decorative. If you were to use a different color, it would show the trim. It would be much more decorative because your trim would be up here. You'd see this little trimmed area here. That's just all slip stitched. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It's going to look good because I made some nice granny squares. Okay, just go ahead and go to the next set of stitches and pull the slip stitch all the way around. And you can even go into the little ends. You can do the same. Just find that pair of stitches there, and then just pull it through. And go all the way around our little, we won't need to insert the pillow until it starts to close up a little bit. Our little pillows. It's going to go in both of these. And I don't even think I was counting or paying attention too much when I made my first one. It just make sure you go, like here I've got a stitch that I'm sort of ahead of on one, but that's okay. It just comes together fine. It's very forgiving. Here we go, let's go through both of those. Now because my yarn keeps unraveling, I'm having a bear of a time. It's probably, I would think you would definitely want good yarns, good quality yarns. And I'm sure someone here will be able to share the kind of yarns that they would like to use, that they like to, that your preferred yarns of this weight would be kind of nice to know. So I'm just going to go around the whole thing. How's everybody doing? Everybody's so quiet. I hope you're enjoying slip stitching. I'm getting all the way around. And in the corners, just kind of go around the corners, follow those stitches, and just bring them together, and that's joining the two. And then all of your icky stuff is going to be hidden underneath. Nobody will even see it. These just make such neat little pin cushions. And I'm thinking for other things too, like I've got lots of little sticky things that I need to have more than one of these. Things like not just pins for my sewing room, but pins for when I'm working on glue and trying to open up a glue, the end of a bottle of glue. They always get clogged, so I always use pins for that. I'm just going to go through all of these. Maybe I could have used a larger hook, but I'm already halfway there, so. So did Dorothy get, yeah, Dorothy's there, yay, okay. I was glad that you were able to get back on with your.
Well, I'm actually still on my cell phone, but it works.
Yeah, well, cell phone would be really hard to do this to watch, you know what I mean? To think it would be really difficult. It's hard enough
know.
on a computer, let alone a cell phone.
Oh, I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get the computer to hook up to it, so I never did.
Oh, sometimes, yeah, I don't know. There's an update that Zoom is doing. I'm wondering if that maybe happened. It was like prompting me to do an update just as I was starting the class. And I was like, no, not now. We'll do it later.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. It's like, you know, well, do you want to do it now? No. So just keep going around, and I'm getting to where I could put my pillow in, but not yet. If you just use the fiber fill without creating a little pillow, then your fiber fill will probably poke through your little holes. And I'm sure that there's a granny square. Well, maybe, I don't know. There must be a granny square that you can make that would not have those holes, but you need that to be able to make your square. So I don't know. A round pin cushion would be cute. A total round one. Then you wouldn't have to make a pillow to go underneath.
There are granny squares that have a round center.
Right. Oh yeah, the round. I saw those, the round centered ones. In fact, I'll show you my little. After we're done with this, I'll show you a little book that I bought, and it shows the round granny square. It starts with a round center, which closes that hole up. Right. It creates that more tight. Let's see if I can see it real quick. I know I had it, and they have some really interesting things. This one's all very basic patterns. And one of them I thought was really cool. I'll just pull this picture in. I love this flower that just looks real 3D, but that would have been fun to do on that too. But here we are on this one. So I'm going to just keep slip stitching. You can also do a decorative stitch. If you wanted to do some single crochet around it, it would give it a little board, like an edge, like a different look. And it's pretty. You can be creative with how you do this. So I'm going to put my pillow in now and just see, probably a good time to stick that in there. I'm going to give myself plenty of room to let it open up. I think what I do in my first one, I did it with I put the pillow in pretty quickly because I wanted to keep that square form and have those corners go into the points of the squares. So you can still get it in there, and I'm sure there's tools that you can use. So now I've got my little pillow, and you can always shape it after you've got it stitched together. Pillow, it might even take a few stitches out just because. So that's what I'm going to back up a little so that I can get a little more room, because I don't like the way it's forming by waiting that long. So I'm backed up a little bit so I can get that pillow in there. And I don't know if my pillow is perfectly square. In fact, it's off a little, it's kind of a little wonky, but it works. It'll work. It'll function just fine. And I can manipulate the yarn after I've put everything together. Kind of push it around, get it to mold the way I want it to look. So now I'm just going to go back and start and get back in there. And it makes a nice, having the pillow inside gives you a nice form actually to work around. So maybe it's a better idea to just put it in sooner than later. I just love these. Little projects are something I can handle. Larger, more, intensive, bigger projects are not actually probably not good for my eyes just because I work so many hours a day on a computer and doing visual things. I can't spend a lot of time with on one thing for very long. Just doesn't. I need to change in fact, everybody should do this. When you're working, you should always, every few minutes, look away and focus on something farther away, like 20 feet away. It's better for your eyes. We want to save our eyes because we use them so much. I'm turning around the corner here and I'm getting closer to closing it up. And basically, once you get to the last one, you just slip stitch and then use your crochet needle or hook to pull the yarn through and finish it off and just hide it underneath your underneath. Nobody's going to see it. That's what I like about this thing, because all your little mistakes, if you have them, so it's a great beginner project. If you have mistakes, they get hidden. Nobody sees them. So I can even tuck my little tails, this little tail, I'm going to tuck it in before I start to slip stitch, and then we won't even know it was there. Actually, it'd be fun to fill one of these, a smaller one, with catnip. Give it to a kitty cat. This would probably be a little too big for my cat, but a small one, definitely. So I'm at the very last couple of stitches. I'm just going to put it in, get this other stuff out of the way, and then just tie it off. One more, and I might just do one more over my first, because it just sort of needs it. Needs a little reinforcement. Now I've got it. I'm going to go all the way actually to the end of my pillow. Just going to stitch a couple more, just one more, a couple slip stitches just to kind of reinforce that, and then I'm done. That one's not going to let me. There we go. I'm just going to stop it right now. Okay, I'm going to pull it through. And now I'm just going to feed this through. Make sure it's all formed the way you want it to be formed. Yep. And then I'll I've got it cut, and I'll just take now if you have a crochet needle, I'm going to show you one. Crochet needles are handy because they have a nice wide, they're just a little easier to finish things off than with a hook. I mean, even though if you don't have one, you can still do it, but it just makes for the final part a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and just take it through, take my needle. I'm just going to bring it through and just go around a little bit just to kind of finish it off. And to also secure the yarn so it doesn't unravel. And when I'm doing that, I'm actually going through the actual, it's actually just it just makes it a little bit more secure, and it won't come apart as easy. And my very last one, oops, I don't want to go through the pincushion part. Put a hole in that. All right, so now I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to trim it very close to the end, to that, and nobody will see it. And there is our little pinkish. Now,